Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Terry James Gingras, and this is Dr. G's ADHD Chat. And this is a show that's striving mightily to make the world safe for ADHD. I am a clinical psychologist and neuropsychologist. I have a private practice that I probably at least half of everybody I see is ADHD, whether it's an adult or parents with a child they're worried about. We do a ton of those. Used to do a lot of therapy. I haven't had room in my schedule for many therapy cases recently, which is sort of a problem, but not a real bad one, I don't think. And the other thing is, I have an adult now. He was a child who has ADHD, and I report this every week. But basically, I made probably every mistake you can make parenting an ADHD child. You got to understand, back some 30 plus years ago, we didn't know a whole lot about ADHD. Matter of fact, I say this almost every week as well. I went through an American Psychological Association approved graduate program and never once heard about ADHD. Not one word. And certainly not a whole course. So we didn't know much back then. We really didn't. And when we were trying to figure out what was going on with our child, even in spite of the fact that, I had lots of contacts in the industry, as they say, I couldn't get a decent evaluation or a decent explanation for the behavior stuff we were seeing. It continues on, and but now, all these years later, ADHD is much better researched, much better publicized, I guess. We have more treatment options, and I won't say it's good yet, but the situation is improving. And I think one of the things we have to deal with is that the name is terrible. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. What's that mean? It means you can't pay attention, right? Well, anybody who's got an ADHD kid knows that that's not true. They can pay attention to a whole bunch of things. Usually there are things you really are not too excited about them paying attention to, but they can do it. When they get older, we will talk about hyperfocus, because ADHDers are great at paying attention to stuff they like and are interested in. They can do a wonderful job with that, and they don't need anything to encourage them to do it. They just, I like this stuff, I really do. And they get into it, and they work for hours and hours on it without even thinking about the passage of time. Matter of fact, that's probably one of the problems, is they don't think about the passage of time, and sometimes they go to extremes with it. But they can pay attention. And that, I think, confuses the average person on the street. And then you get a lot of stuff from other parents who don't have ADHD kids that, this is just an excuse. Why does he get special stuff in school, or why does she get special exemptions in school, or that kind of thing? Because ADHD, what is that even a real thing? And I keep thinking, it is a really crummy name. I suppose it's better than minimal brain dysfunction, which was what it used to be called. But in the last 15 years or so, the only change that's been made to the name is that they've added hyperactivity to it. So instead of a nice simple attention deficit disorder, it's now attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which all of us stumble over all the time. Even if you work in the field, it's like, crud, I said ADD 6 times during that session. The problem with it is that it's, with the name being what it is, you can blow it off pretty easily, and a lot of people do. Oh, he's just a normal kid, or oh, she just has a powerful imagination, and that's why she daydreams so much. She'll grow out of it, or he'll grow out of it. You hear that all the time, and I just wonder if we called ADHD dopamine regulation disorder. Thank you. Dopamine regulation disorder, would we get it taken more seriously? Dopamine, if you're not familiar, is a neurotransmitter. What we believe happens with ADHD is that for some reason they metabolize dopamine faster than neurotypicals, and that as a result of it, they're always looking for some kind of stimulation to generate more dopamine. That's why so many of them jump off roofs and swing through trees and ride motorcycles and all that stuff. But think how much more seriously they'd take the whole disorder if we had some kind of a fancy sounding name with a neurotransmitter in it. So dopamine regulation disorder. That's funny thing that pops into your head at 4 o'clock in the morning or something. But that is kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it also is, and all the parents out there, and probably a lot of you who grew up with ADHD, know that that's a problem. It's a problem in school. It's a problem when you're talking to the neighbors, that people just don't take your stuff seriously. Oh, I already have a positive vote for that diagnosis. Who knows? Write to the American Psychiatric Association with your suggestions. But it does. People blow it off. It's just attention. What's the problem? Everybody has some problems paying attention. My mother-in-law gets on the phone. I can't pay attention for anything. But it is a thing that tends to. It's a problem. Just in the sense that people don't take it seriously. And when they don't take it seriously, but bad things happen. Okay, I have apparently somebody from England who's Karen. Thank you for watching. Anyway, but what we get, because I think people don't take it seriously, is we get all the kind of garbage that most of us have experienced as parents, are just like, it's not a real thing. They're just making that up. That's just an excuse for being a sloppy parent, being one of these wimpy people who won't discipline your child. I've heard it personally, and I've heard, I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of patients in my office talking about that. People do not take ADHD seriously. They think it's just an excuse for bad behavior. And frankly, ADHD is not a very good explanation for the behavior you see associated with the disorder. So I'll stick with my dopamine regulation disorder, and we'll see what happens. But I'm not really expecting that they're going to change anything. But it is probably more accurate as a term than ADHD. if you, I often wondered what would happen if our education system was a little more like a Montessori kind of thing, where it was more free choice kind of stuff, and instead of basically at least American education, I can't speak for the whole world, but is very compliance based. You get good grades if you turn your stuff in on time, if you are attentive, if you, well, just pay attention to the teacher, shall we say. You can't be daydreaming all the time, or goofing off, or doing little doodles, or that kind of stuff. You'll get good grades. And then, in my area, there are some teachers, some school systems that are giving 50% of the credit just based on timeliness. Bringing stuff in on time is, ADHD kids have a horrible time with compliance. That's a big issue, especially if it's something they don't like very much or not very interested in. So you have got to recognize that although I'm kind of making fun of this, it is a serious problem, and it has serious implications for all of the ADHD community. We need to take it seriously, and we need to have something, we call it, that other people can take seriously. So I'm sticking with dopamine regulation disorder. If you got a better one, I'm more than willing to hear it. But I think it actually captures the what's going on better, and it also is a more medically sounding terminology than attention deficit. Okay. So I'm beginning to go round and round. I want to tell you a few things. I am in the process of developing some programs. They're not ready yet, but I'm getting very close, and so I will announce them probably in the next couple of weeks. I'm not sure yet, but pretty close. It's all that technical stuff. I love the content part, but I'm not so great on the technology stuff. So usually need some help with that. And so, but in a week or two, we'll have some announcements. And in the meantime, leave comments, like this broadcast, so you get to see it more often. I think that's still the way Facebook works. And we will catch you next time. My website is terrygingrassphd.com, and there is a landing page there where if you sign up, you get an electronic download of my book on strategic parenting. So help yourself and enjoy, and comment on that if you'd like. Write me a review. That'd be good. Okay, I will catch you next week. Dr. Terry James Gingrass. This is Dr. G's ADHD Chat, the show that's trying to make the world safe for ADHD. And there's a very good reason for that. Remember, compliant people don't change the world. It's the folks who think outside the box, the ornery, independent ones, that come up with the great ideas that change things. So ADHDers are born outside the box. They're the ones that we need to encourage. So with that thought in mind, I will catch you next week. Thank you for watching.